Patterns, patterns, and more patterns. Now the Big Five has recently dropped some new patterns as part of their fall catalog, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about them. But we're gonna find out today. Hey Stitchers, your girl Kris here. Welcome back to the channel on social where we all obsess over sewing. So for today's video, I'm just going to talk your ears off about the newest release from the Big Five patterns, specifically McCalls, Me and Vogue, because we're sewists, so we love patterns, right? Anyways, generally speaking, I'm not overwhelmed by the fall releases. I didn't find a pattern that had me going like, oh my god, I have to have it right now. There are some that I like and that can possibly work in my wardrobe, and those are the ones that I'm going to be talking to you about today. That's not to say that I didn't like any of the others. There were elements of some of the others that I liked, but just not enough that I could justify spending coin on those patterns. Even the ones that I'm going to highlight today, I really feel like I can probably hack together some of the patterns I already have in my pattern stash and sort of mimic the patterns that they have come out with for these new releases. However, if your girl was going to go ahead and be lazy, then these are some of the patterns that I would probably pick up for my pattern stash. Now, the most underwhelming of the three pattern companies that I'm going to talk about today was the McCalls release, and so I'm just going to start with that one first. Right, so the first McCalls pattern that I want to talk about is McCalls 8533. I'll go ahead and pop it on the screen so that you can follow along. And this one is like a moto jacket, and I actually quite like this pattern, save and except for the fact that it has so many pattern pieces. At least I assume it has a lot of pattern pieces because I've looked at the line drawings, and all of those style lines means that there's probably a pattern piece for each of those style lines. Oh, that would be probably my only deterrent in making up this pattern, having to piece together all of those style lines. Now, I'm a girl who likes to make fit adjustments to my patterns, which means inevitably I will be making a lot of adjustments because there are so many different pattern pieces, and I'm not going to enjoy that process that much. At least I don't think I will, but I really do like this motor jacket, and I love the styling on the envelope in this black and white big striped print fabric. I love black and white, you guys. I think it is a classic combination, like duh. And I am quite fond of striped fabrics, but not so much so the pattern matching of striped fabrics. But I feel like on the pattern cover for this pattern, the fabric choice was just perfect. It stands out on the pattern cover, and if I were going to buy any of these McCalls patterns, this one would definitely be in the runnings. Now, fortunately for me, this one comes in both paper pattern and PDF pattern, and your girl lives far away from the United States of America, which means that PDF patterns are my go-to because I can access them from where I am, buy them, print them, stick them together, and then start working on my pattern pieces. But you guys, truth be told, when I am purchasing patterns that have lots of pattern pieces like this one does, I do prefer the paper pattern because I like to trace my patterns, and it's just easier for me to trace patterns that have already been printed than having to print them, stick together, and then trace them all out before I can start making my pattern adjustments. So having the actual paper pattern just cuts out some of the process for me, which I don't mind typically, but I do mind when there are several pattern pieces. Now, the website describes this pattern as a trendy bolero and jacket with seaming details, having a wide collar and shoulder pads. Now, I do like this wide collar. I think it works quite well on this jacket, and I'm really looking forward to seeing other sewists take on this jacket in the sewing community. Now, there are lots of opportunity for print mixing, and I think ViewBee actually contemplates having a contrast. So, stick a pin. I'm now wondering if the black and white striped fabric for ViewBee is actually white fabric and black fabric that have been sewn together to give that striping effect because of the contrast option. I'm actually thinking maybe that's what ViewBee is. Not a black and white striped fabric, but black fabric and white fabric that have been cut and sewn together to give the effect of a stripe. I like that. I really, really like that. So again, if I were shopping for patterns, I would go ahead and pick up this one. This one again is McCalls M8533 Bolero and Jacket, and I would definitely be making View B. Now the next pattern that I would consider is McCalls 8528, which is a dress pattern. Now 8528 comes in 3 different views. View A has no sleeves, but it does have the pleating detail at the side. View B is the same as View A, except it has sleeves and a pocket. And then View C has sleeves but no collar. You guys, I really like View B of this pattern, and I can see it being made up in like a pink boucle fabric that will just give off this kind of preppy, lush, chic vibe using this dress pattern. I think that would be dope. I really do like this pattern, you guys. I know I said I was not overwhelmed, and I'm not particularly overwhelmed. I can see myself hacking a couple of other patterns that I have in my stash to sort of recreate this look, but it will just be easier to go ahead and buy this pattern, and if I find the right fabric, then I might be convinced to go ahead and snatch this one up. Now this one also comes in PDF and paper, yay me, and it also has 2 different size bands, the size 8 to 16 and then an 18 to 26. Now that is one drawback about the big 4 patterns that I do not like. The fact that the size bands do not overlap for a lot of the patterns. Now in my view, they should have overlapped it at the size 14 or 16 and have a size band 18 to 16, and then the second size band should have been like a 14 to 26 or 16 to 26, just because some of us who are mid-size sewies fit right between the size 16 and the 18, and if you're like me, then you might have to blend your size in, and I don't like the idea of having to buy 2 size bands just so that I can grade between my sizing, or alternatively having to try and grade down the size 16 to a size 14 myself. I don't like that. Can we please have an overlap big 5 patterns between like the 14 or 16 and the 18, please? Now the website describes this pattern as classy and sophisticated blazer wrap dress with sleeve variations, attached belt with purchased rectangular ring and snap closure. Views A and B have a collar, lapel, and pleated skirt. View A is sleeveless and has a contrast collar and lapel. And then View C is a blazer dress with long sleeves and contrast on one side of the dress. Whew, that was a mouthful. But as I said, if I were going to make this dress, I would definitely consider View B. Now the third one I want to share with you is McCalls 8529, and this one just feels very preppy chic in my view. I can see this being made up in a variety of fabrics, and I think based on the fabric choice, you're bound to get a very different look. Now this pattern is described as a tweed sheath dress with sleeve length and pocket variations, a scoop neckline, shoulder pads, and invisible zipper closure. View A has self ruffles on the sleeves and pockets and decorative buttons on the pockets. Views B and C have purchased trim at the neckline and pockets. Now, truth be told, if I were making this one up, I would probably make View A, but I would likely omit all of those ruffles. I feel like if I just made View A with no ruffles and no decorative buttons, then this one will give me an upscale boss lady vibe without all of the added fuss. Now, I would make this in probably a black and white fabric or a black fabric, and it would be perfect for my office environment. Sort of understated, very chic, very elegant. Yeah, I can do that. So if I were making this pattern, then I would most likely go ahead and make View A with the short sleeves, but then I would omit all of that like fussiness with the ruffles and the trim and that sort of thing. Now this pattern has darts. It has bust darts, and it also has a fisheye dart at the waistline, which tends to give a really nice fit along the tummy area and the hip area. I do like a fisheye dart for this reason. It closes with an invisible zipper at the back. Now I have no problem doing invisible zippers. I think I did share a video here on the channel with how to go ahead and install an invisible zipper. So if you need a little bit of hand holding for installing invisible zippers, then run ahead and check out this video right here, and hopefully you can pick up some tips and tricks for making installing invisible zippers that much easier. Now that is the last McCalls pattern that I would consider buying from the fall collection. So let us now skip on over to the Know Me pattern releases. Now the first Know Me pattern that I want to talk your ear off about is Know Me 2103, which is this beautiful coat pattern by Butte Jador. But I live in the Caribbean, so what would I even be doing with a coat pattern? let me tell you, I would hack this pattern into a blazer. I really do like the style lines of this pattern. It is a double-breasted coat with princess seams down the front, and I love a princess seam. I feel like they're so much easier to fit and they are much more flattering on my body shape, in my opinion, than are darts. So I always choose a princess seam over a dart when given the option. And so I really like that this coat has princess seams. And it has princess seams both in the front and in the back, which means that there are lots of opportunity for tweaking the fit along your body line if necessary. Now this coat has two views. View A is a shorter view, I think it's just above the knee, and view B is like a mid-calf view. So if I were making this pattern, then I would start with view A and then I would shorten it to about hip length, or maybe even high hip length. It really just depends. But I feel like if I shorten this pattern into a jacket, then it could get tons of wear in my work wardrobe. Now for those of you who are heading into winter, then I can see you rocking out this coat in maybe like a faux fur. Oh my goodness, how amazing would that be? This long line coat in a faux fur. Seriously, that would be totally dope. I really actually would love to make a coat, you guys. I feel like just for my sewing and construction skills and to improve those skills, making a coat I think would be a great project. But I just don't have anywhere that I can wear a coat. I would look like a complete buffoon if I were to make a coat pattern in this climate, because it is hella hot. So hot. Like I'm wearing a t-shirt, a short sleeved t-shirt at the moment, and I'm about to melt into a pool because I am so hot. So imagine what I would do in a coat. That being said, if I were going to make a coat ever, then I would definitely consider this pattern, and if the spirit so moves me, then I can consider hacking it, as I said, into a jacket. So this again is Know Me 2103 by Butte Jador. Now the other Know Me pattern that stood out in this fall drop, in my opinion, was Know Me 2100, which is a bomber jacket by Lydia. Now you guys, this month, the month of October, Black Sewing Network is hosting 2 challenges over on Instagram. One such challenge being to go ahead and make yourself a bomber jacket. The second challenge is to make any pattern you want using a black and white fabric, not black or white, but black and white fabric, and you have to use a black pattern designer. Now this bomber jacket fits both of those criteria, and if I had not already started working on my bomber, then I would definitely pick up this pattern, Know Me 2100 by Lydia, because I love this bomber jacket. And you guys, let me share some intel with you. When I was considering the fabric for my bomber, I actually pulled out some denim fabric that I have had in my stash since I think August of this year when I went to Barbados, and I wanted to use it to make up a bomber jacket. I'll go ahead and drop the link to that fabric haul right here, just in case you love looking at fabric as much as I do and want to see all of the goodies that I picked up on that fabric haul. However, I changed my mind about using the denim fabric because I only have 3.5 yards and I really do not want to mess it up. It's really good denim fabric, at least it looks so in my opinion. And I bought it initially with the intention of making a blazer, but then I thought, a denim bomber would be cool with a little bit of embroidery, maybe on the front chest or maybe on the back, or maybe alternatively adding some pearls to my bomber. That contrast with denim and pearls, in my view, would just give something a little bit fresh. But you guys, I chickened out and didn't do it, and I just reverted to using some black and white fabrics that I had in my stash. But I will share more about that project here on the channel sometime soon. So if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, now would be a great time to go ahead and subscribe so you do not miss that video when it finally drops here on the channel. Now back to Know Me 2100 by Lydia. Now the pattern is described as an oversized bomber jacket with front zipper closure, rounded sleeves, mandarin collar, rounded patch pockets, zipper opening, and elastic waist. Whew. That has a lot going on. But when you look at the style lines, you guys, I think this is a cool bomber jacket, and I like that the back has a yoke. I don't think I have come across any bomber jacket pattern with a back yoke. If you guys have seen one, then feel free to correct me, but I have not come across any with that detail. And if you make it in the denim, then there's lots of opportunity for some cool top stitching. And overall, I think that this bomber really gives off a really cool vibe. So if I were going to buy a bomber, then I would definitely buy this bomber jacket by Lydia. No Me 2100. Now the final No Me pattern that I would consider picking up from this collection is No Me 2098, which is by Kichi B. Now you guys, I am a woven girly at heart, but I have been slowly making my way over to sewing with a lot more knit fabric. And this pattern has been designed with knit fabrics in mind. Now based on the line drawings, there is a princess seam style line running from the shoulder of this dress pattern straight the way down to the hem, which again makes for easy fitting, at least in my opinion. Just having that style line run all the way down the front means that you can pinch in or let out right along that seam line, as you might find is appropriate for your body type. Now the dress only comes in one view, which is like a midi length view. I would definitely go ahead and shorten it, or if I were to make it full length, then I would definitely do some side slits, just because I like to show a little bit of leg. And if I made a long dress like this, then your girl is going to need to get some ear around her legs some way, somehow. And in my view, the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and create a split. Alternatively, I can probably also make the slit down the center of the leg, running along the princess seam lines. Yes, actually, maybe that's what I would do if I were making this pattern in full length. Leave the splits along the princess seam lines down the center front. Yeah. Now, the pattern also offers this bomber scarf thingy. I hate that, you guys, but maybe it's just a fact that I don't have anywhere that I would ever need a bomber scarf. As I said, it is roasting in these parts. And even if I were going somewhere cold, I'm not sure if I would still be inclined to make up this scarf thingy. I just don't get it. Aside from that, I think that I could utilize this pattern in my stash because I do not have a lot of knit dress patterns, and I do like the fact that this one has princess seams. Now, those are all of the No Me patterns that I wanted to talk about. So let's now hop, skip, and jump over into the Vogue pattern releases. And I think that this was probably my favorite of this set of releases, the Vogue patterns. Alright, let's start the ball rolling with Vogue 2069, which is a skirt pattern. Now this skirt is described as a semi-fitted skirt. It's lined, it is a straight skirt, has a contoured waistband with button closure, side lap zipper, back welt pockets, side front vent, and belt loops. The skirt comes in a short or midi length version, and truth be told, I would make any or both of these versions. I do like the fact that it has a side vent because, as I just said, I like having a leg moment, and the side vent would definitely allow me to show a little bit of leg and get some ear around my legs. And I think it's cool and cute and a little bit saucy for the office. Now I like this pattern, and I actually like both of the designs on the pattern envelope. Now for view A, they made it up using a black and white plaid fabric. Hey, that works for me for the office. And for view B, they made it in like, is that silver or gray? It almost looks like it has a little bit of shine to it. And I just think that that will make for an elevated look for the office. I can see that paired with a cami and then a black blazer over it. Giving boss lady vibes for the office. So I would definitely consider getting Vogue 2069 and adding that to my stash. This one comes in paper and PDF. Wait, is that new? Do Vogue patterns now come in PDF? I didn't realize that, you guys, but I'm definitely going to go ahead and look into that one because I did not know that Vogue now has PDF. The last time I checked, I think they had A0 printing available, but I don't think I have ever seen the PDF option pop up for the format for Vogue patterns. So this is new to me. So with that being said, if this skirt pattern is in fact available in PDF, then I think I'll probably go ahead and pick this one up when the Vogue patterns go on sale. Now the next Vogue pattern that I wanted to chit chat about is Vogue 2068, and this is a button down shirt. Now I have had a thing for button down shirts since forever. I like good button down shirt or shirt dress pattern, and this one is not particularly new in terms of what is being offered, but I do like it enough that I would actually consider buying it. The one thing that does stand out to me about this pattern is the pleating detail at the shoulders, and then this really large pussy bow around the neckline. Now usually I don't button my shirt collars all the way up to my neckline because I find it really uncomfortable for me to have anything too close to my neckline, but I probably would make an exception for this large overstated pussy bow blouse. Now this pattern has been described as a very loose fitting poet style top with front button closure, yoke, front shoulder pleats, extra long bishop sleeves with button cuffs, a continuous lap opening and stitched hems. View B also has a matching sash that goes through the side seam, and I really like View B over View A. I like the extra definition that having that sash provides to this long line shirt. Again, it's nothing that is mind-blowing. I didn't go phew. However, I do like it and I would consider adding it to my stash, especially for those two details, the pleating and the overstated pussy bow. Now this one has been rated by Vogue as average, and just looking at these line drawings, I probably would rate it as more intermediate because you have to consider the pleating detail, you have to consider tons of buttons and buttonholes for both your shirt front and your sleeve, and you also have to do a continuous lap, which can be quite tricky for your cuff opening. So for those reasons, I would probably go ahead and rate this as an intermediate pattern, even though I have not seen the instructions. I do not have the pattern. I don't know how many pattern pieces are included, but just based on the line drawings alone, if you are a beginner sewist, stay clear of this pattern, unless you really wanted a big old challenge to up your sewing game. That will be left completely up to you. Moving on, let's talk about Vogue 2065. I love this one, you guys. I really like this dress. I like that it is loose fitting, surprise, surprise, and I think it's because it has the batwing sleeve and the overlay. And I actually also love the color that they chose for the pattern envelope. Now recently I have been having a thing with green. I think since having my colors done, I am more open to green as a color. I was not so much into green before. I had nothing in my wardrobe that was green previous to having my colors done, but it has grown on me quite a lot over the last like 2 years or so, and I am much more into green as a color right now. And it has been having a moment in my wardrobe recently, and it is trending as one of the upcoming fall trends for 2024. So go ahead and grab yourself some green fabric, and even better if you can get green fabric that looks just like this. Now if I could find fabrics that looked like the pattern cover, then I would definitely go ahead and scoop up this pattern and sew it up for Christmas. Dare myself to be different and have a green instead of a red or black Christmas dress. Yes please. Now, the pattern is described as a very loose-fitting, lined, batwing sleeve dress with a sheer overlay, side front and side back seams, invisible back zipper with hook and eye, and lingerie guards. Now, I have no idea what lingerie guards are. I'm going to have to go ahead and do a quick Google search just to see what they're talking about. But as I said, I really do like this dress, and I would consider adding this one to my pattern stash if I can find this green fabric. So if you have seen fabric that looks like this anywhere, then be sure to drop me a comment down below and let me know where I can go ahead and grab myself this green fabric, because I do quite like it. Alright, moving on, let us talk about Vogue 2066. You guys, this is a gorgeous pattern, and I actually think it's giving off like a wedding vibe. I can see a very modern and understated bride wearing this dress with like one of those, what do you call those things? Is it a stole? I think it might be called a stole. The sort of like cape thing that drapes over your shoulders in like this faux fur, and then a beautiful white wedding dress in this fabric with just a touch of like diamante trimming, just like how it is on the pattern cover. I think that would give off a really amazing winter bride vibe. I would be completely here for that if I were going to get married again, and if I were going to do it during winter in a place that actually gets cold. Now, the dress has been described as a close-fitting lined mermaid hem dress with a deep V neckline, raised waist seam, extended shoulders, covered shoulder pads, invisible back zipper with hook and eye closure, and back waist darts. The dress features a beaded trim neckline and contrast statement sleeves. You guys, take a look at this dress. Like, look at it carefully. Don't you think it's cute? Now, if you made it up in a different color, then I'm sure you could wear it to all of those Christmas parties and dinners that you might have to be attending for the upcoming season. Maybe something even in black with that rhinestone trim would be nice. Maybe something in red would also be nice for the season. Maybe even a nice print, you guys. I feel like if this was made up in a nice print, then it would give that BAM! In your face kind of aesthetic. Maybe. Does anybody want to try it? Like, imagine this in a black and white large zebra print fabric. I like it, you guys. I like what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. So if any of you dare to go ahead and make this dress using a print fabric, then be sure to drop me a comment down below and let me know, because I would absolutely love to see your take on this dress pattern. Now, the last of the Vogue releases that I want to talk about is Vogue 2073, which is this jacket pattern. I just really am drawn to the neckline of this jacket. I love that open neck. I feel that that is so lush and is so sexy in an understated way. Like, for me, that shoulder and that neck and showing off that collarbone, oh, I love that. I absolutely love that, you guys. And so I really do like the neckline of this pattern, and for that reason and that reason alone, I would go ahead and add this one to my pattern stash. Now, the pattern is described as a close-fitting lined jacket with off the shoulders, notch collar, front pockets, and princess seams. Again, with the princess seams, I love a princess seam. They just make for a very flattering fit, in my opinion. Now, if I were making this one, I would probably go ahead and make a view A because it doesn't have any sleeves. And again, you guys, the heat. Now, view B has sleeves, and I would not necessarily wear this jacket to the office just because of how open it is at the neckline. And so for me, the sleeves won't necessarily serve me any purpose. And so I would definitely go ahead and make up view A. I really like the fabric that they use for view A as well. This nice red, almost shiny type fabric, and it looks shiny without being cheap, and I think that that is a great distinction. So if I were shopping for fabric, I would be very particular about the fabric that I picked up to make this pattern. I don't so much like the fabric that they chose for view B, especially because it has sleeves. This dull gray fabric does nothing for me, but I do really like view A. So again, if I were making up this pattern, I would definitely make it up in view A, and I would actually consider making it up in a plain red fabric as well. Now, generally speaking, I am much more drawn to prints than I am to plain fabrics, and because of this open neckline situation, I would want all of the attention on this neckline, and so I would probably go ahead and sew it up using a plain fabric for that reason and that reason alone. Again, I really like this pattern. Now, you guys, those are all of the patterns that I would consider buying if I were going to go ahead and purchase any of the new fall releases. Now, again, I really probably could use patterns already in my stash and hack them up or mash them together to sort of recreate the looks that I have shared with you here on the channel today. But again, sometimes, truth be told, your girl can be lazy, and to be fair, my sewing time can be quite limited, and so I like to make the best use of my sewing time that I could, and so I could probably go ahead and pick up a couple of these patterns. But definitely at the top of my list would be that last Vogue pattern that I showed you, and the McCalls blazer dress pattern as well, and the bomber by Lydia Nicole. If I were picking up any of those patterns, those would be my top 3 purchases, and then I would consider some of the others. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to go ahead and give me a thumbs up, drop me a comment down below, and let me know what you thought of the fall releases, and if you are inclined to pick up any of these patterns to add to your stash. Now, I know this is sort of like a new video for me. I have not done any of the pattern releases in video format before, so also let me know what you thought of this video and whether you would like to see more of this type of video here on the channel. Now, if you have gotten this far and you're not yet subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button and joining my YouTube sewing family. Subscriptions cost you guys absolutely nothing, but they do guarantee you a space right here with me in my YouTube sewing family, and I do appreciate having you here with me from week to week checking out all of my videos. So you guys, that is all I needed to share with you today. So until next time, stay calm, stay cool, stay safe, and absolutely keep sewing. Peace.